Hello guys, welcome back to my channel and enjoy this fanfic part 2. Now let's start the fanfic. You lied to us. One of them accused the amused Naruto. Actually, no I didn't. It was indeed the antidote, but I don't know that there would be these side effects, for the lack of better word. I should have thought of it. Anyway, thanks for being my guinea pig. The special itching powder and its antidote are my fairly new products and I haven't had the time to test them yet. But thanks to you, I will have the data I need soon to improve them. Hold your hand. Oh, sorry, I forget that you were bound. The blonde genin mocked as he took out a syringe and jabbed it roughly, not wanting to be gentle on the prisoners, on the one who shouted before Kakashi could intercept. A painful scream rang on the air. Naruto collected the blood on a plastic tube with a pleased smile on his face. Hitaki, you can send them to Konoha now. By the way, tell Ibiki I expect my payment later, after all this two are missing nins. Kakashi shot a curious glance at Naruto. You know Ibiki. Of course, I need guinea pigs and Ibiki is always happy to use my products on his prisoners. He gets answer from them and I get my payment. It is an ideal way of earning money. Genin's payment just plain S. Kakashi-sensei, who is this Ibiki? Sakura asked after being silent for so long. Morino Ibiki, he's the head of interrogation. And advice? Stay away from him. The Junin instructor warned. Nonsense, he's only cruel to his victims, he just likes to intimidate people and boy did he like to do that to everyone, Naruto said amusedly. And by the way, he turned to Tazuna who flinched at the narrowed eyes fixed on him. Mind tell us the truth or should I use some tricks that Ibiki taught me? Yes, we'd like to hear it too, the silver-haired Junin said firmly, ignoring the pleading look sent on his way. The bridge builder sighed. Do you know Getu? The name seems familiar. Kakashi trailed off. A criminal lord who sell drugs, monopoly markets in some place, and have a big role in the black market everywhere, Naruto answered. The other four looked at him in surprise. You know him, Naruto? Know him? No. Know of him? Yes. Unlike Haruno over there, I'm not just reading ninja theory, she winced at the jab. Plus Ibiki is a good source of information. I see, Kakashi nodded. And what about him? He turned back to the sweating Tazuna. Actually I think I know. Wave is a poor archipelago country. They need to trade if they want to flourish. Getu must have seen it. He probably isolated Wave and monopoly the transportation over there, and since old man here is a bridge builder, of course he wanted his head separated from his body for decor on his house, a trophy you could say. Tazuna and the other shinobis gaped openly at the smirking boy. Is he right? Yes, the Wave citizen admitted. We can only afford C-rank mission. Even our own daimyo didn't have money. Please, you have to help us or we are doomed. When the bridge is finished, Wave will be able to pay for a higher rank mission. Kakashi scratched his head. The problem isn't the money. We're only a genin team, a new one at that. We should go back to Konoha and request a Chunin or Junin team for this job. No way, I want to get out of Konoha longer. You guessed who shouted. And we're perfectly capable handling this mission, Sasuke added firmly, wanting a chance to try out his technique in real battle. I think we should take this mission, Kakashi-sensei. Kakashi stared in surprise at the pink-haired girl. He thought that she wanted to back away from the mission, especially after Naruto's hurtful words. It seemed that she had a backbone after all. Kakashi looked at his genin team. The boys were glaring while the girl sent him a pleading look. With a sigh he nodded. All right, but I will request another genin team from Konoha. He held out his hands when Sasuke opened his mouth to protest. Naruto didn't care since he only wanted to get away from Konoha. If you refuse, I won't accept this mission, he told him firmly. Sasuke scowled, but didn't say anything. Kakashi summoned his fastest messenger dog and sent it to Konoha. Let's go. Oh. Naruto smirked when he heard his fox yipped. Ever since the revelation yesterday, the group was always alert, even Haruno didn't fall asleep on her shift. The red fox brushed its tail to Naruto's leg. He soon received 2 images from his 2 other foxes in the forest. One of the images was that of a big man with an equally big sword. There was a slashed mist Hite on his forehead. The other guy in the other hand was much smaller. He was wearing a mask with mist symbol on it. Mist Hunter Nin. His fox yipped and shook its small head. Ah, so the smaller guy has the scent of the bigger guy. His disguised subordinate then, probably making sure nothing goes wrong or to spy on us. They're pretty clever. The red fox jumped to Naruto's shoulder and purred. Naruto chuckled and fed it and the other 2 foxes via the red fox his chakra as a thanks. The fox purred in contentment and yipped, telling Naruto that its other friends appreciated the gift. Anytime, my friend. Anytime. Naruto petted the fox. I'm going to scout ahead, was what he said before he disappeared. Should we wait for him? Sakura asked. Leave him alone. He's only a nuisance, the Uchiha heir scoffed. Actually he isn't nuisance, but Sasuke is right. Leave him, I'm sure Naruto will be able to find us. The group left Naruto. Kakashi-sensei, is Naruto's clan has the ability to speak with fox just like Inuzuka clan's ability to speak with dog? Sakura asked curiously. Sasuke turned his head to Kakashi, also wanted to know his answer. As far as I know, Naruto didn't come from any clan. It's his own ability, I think. Kakashi was thinking of Kyuubi. With Naruto. Naruto jumped to the branch 50 meters from the big shinobi silently. Instead of repressing his chakra, he blended it with nature's own chakra. Repressing his chakra would be enough for lesser shinobi, but the man in front of him was a battle-hardened shinobi with many experiences. An alert shinobi of this kind would immediately felt the change in chakra environment because repressing chakra meant that there was a void in the nature. And instead of hiding it would make it easier for him to pinpoint his location. Naruto took out his bingo book he got from Ibiki and searched for the man's data in case he was one of the shinobis who was written there. He smirked when he got the data. His name is Zabuza, one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist. He became missing nin after trying to take over mist and failed. Mizukage warranted him, dead or alive. The reward was high because he was categorized as an A- class missing nin. Naruto closed his book. He didn't search for Zabuza's subordinates' data because he was wearing a mask. If he wanted to know the smaller guy's identity, it would mean that he had to fight him. What to do? Should he finish the man and his subordinate here, or should he let them have a taste of Kakashi and his team? Well, he did want to see what Kakashi and the Uchiha capable of. With a smirk he left Zabuza and headed back to his group. Do you find anything? His sensei asked. None of your interest, Hitaki, he replied with a smirk. Kakashi narrowed his eyes in suspicion. No really. I insist. Whether it is of my interest or not, I will be the one to decide, the ex-Anbu demanded. You can insist, but that doesn't mean I will comply. The bright blue orb stared intently at Kakashi's eyes. San. And don't ever think to bring the old man into this. My deal with him stated that I will join Konoha's shinobi, but it doesn't state that I will be Konoha's lapdog, the boy sneered maliciously. I know that you know I despise Konoha with all my heart. Then you shouldn't agree with the deal Sandame offered to you, Naruto's father's student pointed out. If it meant my whole freedom from that hell hole, I can sacrifice anything. Beside, even if the old man didn't offer it, I will get out of Konoha in time. You plan on becoming a missing nin? The Junin asked sharply. There was an underlying threatening tone on his voice. The others only looked back and forth between them. The temperature dropped a few degrees in such short time. What? Naruto narrowed his eyes. A cruel smirk was plastered on his face. You don't think I never consider it before? Of course I have thought and even planned of it for years. Do you think that no hunter nin will be dispatched to fetch or kill you even if you're still a genin? Oh, please, do you think they can do anything to me? I have learned to harness that power, if you catch my drift, and I am able to fight without it. He heard a gasp came out of the instructor's mouth. You know about it? What does it look like? Naruto asked back. You do know about it. Of course I am. Don't you think I'll try to find out something that made all of those pathetic people despise me just like I despise them? Actually, no. And how did you know about it? I'm sure that no adult will tell you about it because of the law, and they hated you. I got the information straight from its source, of course. Naruto smirked cheekily. His team's Junin sensei seemed at loss of anything to say as the realization of what he said dawned on his brain. Naruto had come in contact with the fox demon. Will you try to get revenge? Or are you just that power hungry that you contact this source? I don't really care about power. Konoha White Fang's son stared at him in disbelief. Naruto continued, but if power is what I need to get my freedom, then I'll do anything to grab it. As for revenge, yes, I do want to avenge my misery and injustice done to me, although it was only a second priority after my freedom. Your father will be disappointed to see. Kakashi's eyes widened, realizing that he had just slipped out. Naruto raised an amused eyebrow, not even appeared to be a bit shocked. Oh, so, you do know who I am really? Kakashi's eyes went wider if that was possible. Naruto chuckled. You think I don't know of it? I have known about my father, he spat, ever since I was still a kid. You and Konoha might think of him as a hero, but for me, he's nothing but a traitor to his own son. The other three were wondering who exactly was Naruto's father. He sacrificed me, his only son. It's for the greater good. Kakashi tried to defend his former sensei. Naruto scoffed. Greater good, you say? Right now, I'm almost reaching my patient limit. I have a real high patience, you know. After all, my whole life is kind of a test of how far I can take all of this crap. But even I don't have unlimited patience. If someone dared to cross the line, I'll make sure that when I'm done with them, my father in Dead Realm will realize that the so-called greater good isn't so great after all and that he made a mistake sacrificing me to save those fools, he hissed. Naruto suddenly looked up and jumped from his spot when he heard the wind change. Duck. He heard Kakashi yelled as a huge sword was thrown to their direction. All three followed Kakashi's lead, while Naruto growled angrily on a tree for being interrupted. The giant sword crashed the ground behind them. Naruto's acute eyes glared at where Zabuza stood. The missing nin came out behind a tree with a chuckle. A squabble between student and teacher. I see, he said amusedly. And Hatake Kakashi. No wonder the demon brothers failed. They faced against the infamous copy nin Kakashi, whose Sharingan was said that it had copied thousands of jutsu all around the world, the former mist nin said, not knowing that it was Naruto who finished them odd. Sasuke's eyes widened when he heard what the man called Kakashi. Impossible, he muttered in disbelief. Sakura glanced at him worriedly, wondering what made her crush lost his composure like this. Sakura, Sasuke, guard Tazuna. He snapped them out of their thoughts. The two genins scrambled on their feet and readied for an attack. I suppose this is what you said is not of my interest. The Junin eyed Naruto above him. Indeed, Naruto growled as he eyed the missing nin with anger. He really hated it when people always messed with him. Do you know that it's rude to interrupt someone when he is talking? Oh, I'm sorry for my rudeness. I guess I have to introduce myself first, don't I? The bandaged face man mocked. I have known who you are. Oh, Zabuza raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised that a kid like him knew who he was. I don't know that I am that famous. Not really, I just have a complete guide of shinobi's data, the bingo book. You're Zabuza, former mist shinobi who went AWOL and became A-class missing nin. You tried to overthrow your Mizukage, but failed and was on the run ever since. Have I missed anything important? The blonde vessel grinned mockingly. The former mist shinobi growled at being reminded of his failure. How dare you? He hissed through his teeth. Hey, you're the one who acted rude first. You shouldn't complain. At first I intend to watch you fight Hatake and that Uchiha boy, but you infuriated me. Let's play. Naruto smirked from above and vanished in an instant. The missing nin's eyes widened, before he scanned his environment for the blonde to no avail. Naruto reappeared in front of Zabuza. The missing nin's eyes widened as he held up his right arm to block a kick sent to his way. The kick wasn't connected to his face, but he still felt the impact as his body was pushed back a meter. Realizing that his younger opponent was not just ordinary shinobi, Zabuza quickly retrieved his blade. He got into a fighting stance. The blonde boy stood in relaxed stance. A smirk was plastered on his face as he made a gesture for the older shinobi to attack him. Zabuza narrowed his eyes for a moment before he dashed toward the infuriating blonde with a cry. Kakashi and the others were standing on their spot as the battle commenced. TBC. It seemed that the blonde genin wasn't just an ordinary shinobi. His eyes darted toward the others who kept their footings around Tazuna, protecting the bridge builder. It appeared that the copy nin had no intention to help his genin student, but the swordman of the mist knew that if the situation went bad, the Konoha Junin would interfere. Growling softly at the disadvantage he was in, Zabuza made 10 Mizu Bunshins around him and ordered them to attack the younger shinobi. Mizu Bunshin no Jutsu, he said softly. A second after he said it, the blonde made a seal. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Naruto whispered softly so Zabuza didn't hear him saying it, making the same number of shadow clones to fight off the water clones made by the missing nin. Your water clones are useless. You're just wasting your chakra. Give up or face the consequences. Naruto scrunched his eyebrows. On the other hand, don't give up, because I will take pleasure torturing you, he said cheekily. Zabuza scoffed. You're 100 years too early to say that, brat. Both shinobis made a gesture and their clones clashed. Zabuza's eyes narrowed further as he watched each of his water bunshin was destroyed by its opponent. A dawning realization came to his mind that right now he was facing a shinobi who could use this particular kinjutsu. He had seen this jutsu performed before in the Great War, but mostly the shinobi who could use this technique were adults who had more chakra than others, seeing that this jutsu needed much chakra to maintain. His water clone only had a 10th power of its original, but shadow clone had the same power of the original. This kid is good. He could actually be a match against Haku, he thought. Hey brat, you're good, he complimented. The blonde only shrugged indifferently. Why did you join Konoha's shinobi rank when you're already strong and hate them? He baited the genin. Zabuza's eyes caught the copy nin stiffened at his question. Why don't you come with me? You could be great under my tutelage. Naruto laughed in amusement. Come with you. Under your tutelage. Did I hear you right or are you just plain senile? Who do you think you are? I'm not a fool. You're weaker than me. There's nothing you can teach me, beside the old man has offered me a better deal. Your time's up. You should pay for interrupting me rudely. It's unfortunate for you, a water user shinobi, to meet me, the blonde smirked. Zabuza was seething inside. How dare this imbecile said that he was weaker. The missing nin made another batch of water clones and dispatched them to deal with the shadow clones. Even if his clones couldn't win against his shadow clones, he could use them as distraction. He dashed toward the blue-eyed genin. The missing nin stiffened and jumped backward when he felt a weapon was thrown to his direction from his left. He watched Kakashi left his spot with a kunai on his hand. I thought you didn't want to interfere with this battle, he stated. Your thought is wrong. I changed my mind, was his only explanation. Don't interfere with this fight, Hitaki. Naruto snapped. You're a member of my team and I have a duty to help you, beside I'm your superior. Do you think I can't handle him on my own? The demon vessel growled dangerously. A flash of red flickered from his eyes so fast that Zabuza thought that he was imagining it. A scream of terror and 2 gasps from behind the silver-haired Junin caught their attention. The 2-leaf shinobis watched Sasuke fought against 4 water clones, while Tazuna was knocked unconscious. Sakura on the other hand, was being held by a water clone with a sharp kunai pressed against her throat. Sakura! Kakashi shouted. He wanted to smack himself for being so careless. Naruto only scowled. Don't you think you get the wrong target? Naruto raised an eyebrow as he glanced at the knocked-out Tazuna pointedly. Sasuke finished out the last clone with a spin kick. He growled in annoyance when he saw the trembling pink-haired Kunoichi being held as hostage. I don't think so. But he's only a client, while she's your teammate. Drop your weapons or she will die, the missing nin warned. Naruto started to laugh, slowly at first, before it became a full-blown laughter. After a minute of non-stop laughter and incredulous eyes sent on his way, Naruto stopped and opened his cold blue eyes. His eyes narrowed as he stared at the missing nin seriously. Do you think I care for that useless girl? Go ahead, kill her. I won't stop you. She's a nuisance and it will be a great relief to have that burden lift from my shoulder, that way I don't have to do it on my own. The girl shivered at such coldness displayed by her uncaring teammate. The clone that held Sakura pressed the kunai a bit, making her flinched as a drop of blood seeped out from the slice. Naruto watched it coldly, but a crazed smirk was plastered on his face. The real Zabuza stared at the boy and knew from right there that he wasn't joking. Sasuke and Kakashi tensed. Naruto. The blonde's eyes shifted to the silver-haired Junin in annoyance. What? He snapped. Save your lecture, Hatake. I don't need it and pay your attention to Zabuza instead of to the girl. If she still lives after this, it would be a good experience for her and motivate her to become stronger so she won't be such a burden, or better yet, to stop being a shinobi. The world doesn't have a need for useless kunoichi. If not, well, too bad for her then, she just has to hope that she die painlessly. He smirked as his eyes turned to the other genin. The advice could be applied to you too, Uchiha. There won't be anyone to save your noble ass if you screwed this. Sasuke sneered. Nor will I save your sorry, the dark-haired genin snapped harshly. He was ticked off by Naruto's statement. Both genins turned their attentions to the real Zabuza, leaving only Kakashi to worry about the pink-haired girl. The girl sobbed quietly when she realized that she was abandoned by her teammates, and to make it worse, one of them was her crush. The Kyuubi vessel took out 2 kunais from his pouch, twirled them for a moment before he channeled his chakra on the metals. The kunais were suddenly engulfed by red fire. The fire danced wildly before it solidified around the weapon, creating what looked like to be 2 blazing swords. Sasuke watched the event take place in front of his eyes with wide eyes. He could feel the terrible heat emanating from the weapons. He gritted his teeth in envy and jealousy, wondering how a supposed dead last like him could do a thing he couldn't do. He was the heir of Uchiha clan, a fire user clan. It should be him who controlled the fire, not this boy whose heritage wasn't known. Naruto gripped the scorching hot weapon on his palms without flinching. The metals were scorching red from absorbing and coming in contact with the hot fire around them. The blonde boy frowned. He needed to train his chakra control better. The weapons weren't supposed to look as if they would melt soon. It should look like as if nothing happened to the metals. Naruto had to hold back his blue fire from forming around the kunais, knowing that the weapons wouldn't be able to stand the heat. The weapons on his hands were barely able to handle the heat of his red fire as it was. Either he had to start improving his chakra control or he had to find better quality kunais. A water clone near his right was slowly dissolved into air as the heat evaporated the water. So that was what you mean that a water user like me was unlucky to meet you? Zabuza stared at the weapons on his hands. Naruto smirked. It was fun to meet you, but I think I have to cut this meeting short. Let's dance. The blonde boy dashed toward the missing nin. His water clones ran to intercept their creator's assaulter. The first clone threw shurikens to Naruto, only to have him deflect those ninja weapons by twisting his kunai sword to make a shield. Naruto sliced the clone in two, the body part of the clone where his kunais touched evaporated. Naruto tilted his head to the left to avoid a kunai send on his way. Not enough, the boy murmured. He channeled more chakra to the kunai on his right hand and slashed it horizontally. Hot air rippled from the sword and cut through 5 clones, while the rest jumped to avoid it. Knowing they had no chance to defeat him alone, all of them jumped with kunai on their hands. Naruto grinned wickedly. He deepened his contact with the ground below. Red fire formed a circle around his feet before it started to rise to the air around him like tornado. The fire danced around his body, catching the clones in the air and evaporated them. Naruto kept the fire a half-meter around him to avoid his clothes being burnt. He himself didn't have a problem with fire, but his clothes would be burnt. And he didn't want to be in front of anyone else. Got more. An amused eyebrow raised toward Zabuza. Kakashi-sensei. Naruto watched from the corner of his eyes that Kakashi had saved Sakura, destroying the clone when its mind was elsewhere. He scoffed before he turned back to his opponent. It seems that you no longer have hostage, the blonde boy taunted. It doesn't matter. Kurigakure no Jutsu, a thick mist covered the area. Your attempt is futile. I am used fighting in area with no light. Do you think a mere mist can stop me? Besides, it can be dispatched easily. Though I haven't learned any wind jutsu yet, I have another method. The Kyuubi vessel grabbed his wires from the pouch on his pants, attaching them to kunais and launched them to the trees for anchor. Tying one of the wires around his blazing kunai, he launched the rest of his wires to the air, each of them connected with others, supporting the weight of the blazing kunai. Feeling that the burning kunai was high enough, he channeled his chakra through the wires. The air above around the kunai became hot. Wind started to form as the air from the area with cooler temperature rose to the sky where hot air gathered. The mist was starting to dissipate. That's just one of the simple methods to counter your Kurigakure no Jutsu. Care to try other ways? I have enough spare time. Amuse me, Naruto said cheekily, as he stopped channeling his chakra. The fire stopped dancing around the now melted kunai, revealing scorched marks on it. The blonde genin tugged the wires, the kunais working as anchors tensed as they moved to unfurl the ties. The wires stiffened as the chakra channeled through them. Team 7 watched in disbelief as the wires moved as if they had lives on their own. Even Kakashi stopped taking care of Sakura's wound. He couldn't believe that his sensei's son has reached this level. Zabuza took a step back. He could handle many kunais simultaneously, but could he handle all of those living wires that could move as if they had a mind on their own? He cursed inwardly. How could a genin boy like him have this kind of power? He should be an Anbu or hunter nin, not a mere genin. And to add his problem, he hadn't defeated the copy nin yet. He needed more time to plan. Just as he thought that, the wires slithered on the air like a snake toward him, kunais still dangling on their ends, aimed pointedly toward Naruto's opponent. Fast. Zabuza braced himself. He slashed diagonally, hoping to cut the kunais from the wires. Naruto saw through this and channeled more chakra. A bluish chakra formed around the wires and shielded them from the cut. Zabuza's eyes widened as the wires met his blade head-on. The kunais on the ends tensed and started to attack. Blood sprouted from all over the missing nin's body as the kunais slashed him. Zabuza gripped his sword tighter as he gritted his teeth. He deflected 4 kunais, but 2 of the wires curled around his sword. Red fire formed on the kunai and it channeled through the older nin's blade. Shocked at the sudden hotness, the missing nin released his grip from his sword and dropped to the floor. The wires around the blade threw the sword toward their controller. Naruto caught the missed swordsman, sword with a smirk. You want to overthrow Mizukage with this ability? No wonder you failed, Naruto chuckled. You're weak. I wonder if the rest of the 7 swordsmen of the mist are as weak as you. I heard that the mist 7 swordsmen's swords are special, each has unique power, but from what I saw, your sword is nothing special. Are you sure this sword is finished? Because it looks like ordinary sword for me, if only it has huge size to intimidate your opponent. Naruto planted the sword to the ground. You're right. This sword hasn't been finished yet. Zabuza stood up as he glared at the younger shinobi. Blood still dripped from his wounds. Really? That's interesting. Naruto's wires retreated. You must be not much of a planner that you tried to overthrow Mizukage with unfinished sword. Naruto's eyes turned to the left when he felt Zabuza's subordinate, who was being kept an eye on by his foxes, was readying himself for something. Many senbons were thrown to Zabuza's body and embedded themselves on his vital points. The missing nin's eyes widened as he plummeted to the ground. Naruto raised his eyebrow. A soft yip from the forest told him that the missing nin hasn't died yet. Naruto grinned at the subordinate's devious plan to trick him and the rest of Team 7. A shinobi with Hunter Nin mask jumped to the ground where Zabuza was located. He took the missing nin's body and was ready to jump when Naruto's wires coiled around him like a snake. The Hunter Nin tensed as he turned around to face the blonde. "Where will you go with my prey's body?" he asked cheerfully. "Naruto, stop it. He's a mist Hunter Nin. It was his duty to kill his village's rogue ninja," Kakashi told him. "You might be right, Hatake, but Zabuza is my prey and I won't let him go easily. I was ready to finish him when this man interfered with my fight. If he wanted easy prey, he shouldn't take it from me. It would be a bad idea." Inwardly Naruto chuckled at his acting. If he wanted to play his part as a scavenger, then he should wait until I finish with Zabuza. I won't let him go away with my prize. If you want to get the money reward, you could ask the Mist Administrative in Water Country, the masked nin said. I will tell them that Zabuza was killed by you. Empty words. How do I know that you will do it? No, I think I'll stick on my first plan. I'll use this dear product of mine to decompose his body and behead his head as a proof. A transparent glass tube with black liquid was in Naruto's finger. The Hunter Nin stiffened, making Naruto chuckle harder inwardly. Red slitted eyes opened inside Naruto's mind. The demon blinked before sighing in exasperation. Sometimes, it wondered who was saner between it and its vessel. You can't do that. Mist still needs information from his body. I don't give a damn. There's nothing written in the bingo book that said that Zabuza's body must be intact. The Hunter Nin was silent for a moment before he removed a brown leather pouch from his clothes. There's half of the money reward amount here. You can get the rest in Mist Administrative Office. I will give you this if you let me go with his body. And what if I think to kill you? Get your money, and get the reward full amount from Mist Village. You won't, or you'll risk a war between Mist and Leaf, he said convincingly. Naruto grinned. Clever. The masked nin threw the pouch only to be intercepted by one of the wires. After making sure that the pouch indeed contained money instead of trap, Naruto released the wires around the older nin's body. The black-haired shinobi nodded before he vanished with Zabuza's body, leaving the tall man's sword beside Naruto. Naruto chuckled. I look forward for our next meeting, Hunter-san, he muttered softly. The genin turned to face Team 7. Let's go. Our job is finished here. He left the sword alone, knowing that Zabuza's subordinate would take the sword and hopefully got someone to finish the sword. He was so looking forward to fight against stronger Zabuza with a completed sword and his subordinate. And when the time came, he wouldn't give them any mercy. TBC. I had to think for so long to make Zabuza and Haku could get away from Team 7 and actually followed the canon story a bit. And for people who thought Sakura should have just died, she still has a role. I don't just made her real bad with no reason, you know. This story isn't a Sakura bashing story. Naruto was 7 years old at the time when he met Guy. The Junin with bowl haircut slapped his back numerous times when he was building Sand Palace. At that time Naruto was hoping to find solace, when the Junin suddenly emerged out of the blue one day and started with his youth ranting. This was the third day in row he appeared in the park. Needless to say Naruto was quite annoyed. Experimenting for a week for a new potion he could use to extract his revenge, Naruto succeeded in concocting the potion. It was transparent liquid, with no smell, just like normal water, but it had secret function that only Naruto and later other people including Guy knew. He was ready with his makeshift bow and arrow, made from the sturdy and yet whippy branch he found on the woods. When he walked to the park, the Junin was there, scaring other children, though obviously he didn't realize that. Naruto jumped toward a tree in the north side of the park, quite far from where the future instructor of Lee was standing. A thin rubber ball he bought on a stand whose owner didn't know about Kyuubi was on his palm. Only instead of air or water, it was filled with his special liquid. a liquid that he intended to splash Guy no matter what happened. Naruto tied the rubber ball to his arrow and put it on the bow. He carefully pulled the bowstring, one eye closed as he targeted Guy and his tongue licked the corner of his lips. He let loose the arrow, and just like he thought, the man slashed the arrow and the rubber ball with what the Junin thought is a hero pose. The liquid splashed on Guy. The Junin with green spandex swept the water from his face and rubbed it to his spandex with a grin. What a good plan you've done. I made a Guy, Konoha's taijutsu specialist, compliment you, whoever you are. Naruto moved from his spot and walked to a deserted alley where he still could see the park clearly. A camera was on his hand. A minute later, a simultaneous "ew" and catcalls were heard from the children's lips. Naruto flashed his camera, as the device took photos of his newest victim. The next day, Morino Ibiki handed over some money from his wallet to Naruto for the photos, with a wide satisfied grin. He spread the photos to his other ninjas, who quickly laughed at Guy's misfortune for being picked as the new victim of the infamous prankster. In the photos, Guy's infamous green spandex was deteriorating, leaving him covering his goods in embarrassment as he dashed to his house in what the shinobis later would call a record-breaking speed. Parents demanded Guy to be turned over to them for what they call corrupting their children to the amused Sandame, who obviously didn't give Guy to the furious parents, knowing exactly what pain they would inflict to the poor if only a bit passionate Junin. Guy's face wasn't seen until 2 weeks after he succeeded rebuilding his self-confidence to walk in public. And even after that, he had to be careful to avoid furious parents for another week. The end. Part 12. Pitiful, Naruto said bluntly as Team 7 and Tazuna swept through the town. Broken homes littered around the way. People walked around with dead eyes, dirty clothes, and children begged for food to quench their hunger. The people here looked as if they had no future and merely waited for their time to die. He snorted before turning his attention back to the road. A man bumped him and muttered apology, but before he could go, Naruto caught his wrist and twisted it painfully. Naruto took his fox wallet. Hell yeah, no more Gama-chan. Casually as the man wailed. If you want to steal, do it to someone else, was what he said before he left the man writhing on the ground, cradling his wrist. Team 7 and Tazuna wisely kept their mouths shut at the blatant display of violence and cruelness. When they arrived at their destination, which was Tazuna's house, a kind-looking black-haired woman opened the door. Her face brightened when she saw the bridge builder's face and ushered her father and the 4 guests inside. The woman called for her son loudly. A scowling boy entered the room. His frown changed into a happy smile when he saw his grandfather and dashed toward him. Tazuna petted his head for a moment before he introduced his companions. The scowl was planted once again to the boy's face. Why don't you understand that no one will be able to beat Gato? They would die for sure. They're useless. A vein throbbed on Naruto's forehead as he stared at the yelling boy in annoyance. Inari, his mother admonished. The child's glare turned toward his mother before he turned around and ran to his room. I'm sorry for my son's rudeness. My name is Tsunami and I'm Tazuna's daughter. That boy you just saw is my son, Inari, she introduced herself, before taking them to eat. Her son refused to come out from his room, obviously brooding. The food on the table was meager, but for Wave Citizen it could be considered lavish dinner. It was consisted of 3 medium fishes, rice, and a pan of soup. None of Team 7 complained as they ate quietly, knowing the state of this country and saw it firsthand. Starting tomorrow, I will train all of you hard, Kakashi said after they finished eating. Don't you think it's a bit late for that? Naruto said cheekily. The Junin glared, but the younger nin seemed to ignore it completely. What training you're talking about? It's tree walking. But sensei, we already know how to climb tree, Sakura told him. Her voice was a bit hoarse because of the wound on her neck. Alpa, I've already known to do this simple chakra control training. With that, Naruto left the dinner room. Chakra control training? Sasuke asked at last. Kakashi nodded. When I said tree walking, I wasn't joking. This is a training to use your chakra to stick your legs on tree and walk on it. You'll see how tomorrow, he said, knowing both genins want to know more. Both genins nodded reluctantly. Sasuke entered the room he was supposed to stay in. There was already the blonde boy there, lying on the futon with both eyes closed. The dark-haired genin stared at him for a moment, questions running through his head. If you want to ask me something, Uchiha, then ask. Your staring annoyed me. The Uchiha heir stiffened, knowing that he was caught. How did you become so strong? He blurted out. Naruto snorted. Training, of course, what else? I don't believe it. There must be someone who taught you. And what was that with the fire? What's with you today? So many questions, he teased. Answer me. Naruto's eyes narrowed. Don't think you can demand anything from me, Uchiha. You might be Konoha's favorite, but for me you're nothing. If you want to act as a spoiled brat, do it somewhere else. Sasuke gritted his teeth. You're just a dead last. Naruto laughed loudly when he said it. Dead last. It was this dead last who caught you on so many traps. It was this dead last whose clothes was clean when the missions handed to you's over. And it was this dead last who defeated the A-class missing nin, Zabuza, single-handedly. Tell me, Uchiha, if I'm a dead last, then what are you? Sasuke didn't answer. Precisely. For your information, the fire is my ability. There is no clan with that bloodline. Now, there is, isn't it? And for my trainer, yes, I do have a trainer. Who is he? If you want him to train you, it's useless. He won't do it. Why? He demanded. Naruto sighed. Once a spoiled brat, always a spoiled brat. He doesn't like Konoha, and you're Konoha's favorite. He doesn't like spoiled brat, and you're a spoiled brat. Naruto smiled as Sasuke glared. Beside, you can't meet him, because he's inside my mind. Naruto tapped his forehead with a smirk. What do you mean with that? Exactly like what I said. He's inside my mind. Don't make fun with me. He shouted. A second later, Sasuke found himself pinioned on the wall by Naruto. His black eyes widened because he didn't see him move at all. What have I told you about being rude to me? The freezing blue eyes pierced unto his onyx eyes. Sasuke swallowed. You don't. Naruto raised an eyebrow. You only said not to demand anything from you, he pointed out. Inside his mind, Sasuke was wondering if he was sane, playing game with this dangerous genin. To his surprise, instead of being angry, the blonde boy chuckled. You do have a guts, Uchiha. I compliment you for that. The hand on his neck tightened and Sasuke had to gasp. But next time you do it again, there won't be anyone stopping me from killing you. Consider yourself warned. He released his hold on his teammate and put him down to the floor. Sasuke gasped deeply to breathe. His hand caressed his throat. An advice for you, Uchiha. If you want to become stronger, forget your revenge until you have become stronger. Your drive for revenge only makes you weaker. It distracted you from thinking clearly when you're supposed to be training. What do you know? You don't know anything, he muttered softly, voice still hoarse after being held on his throat. Oh, I do know about it. I forget my revenge to Konoha. I still hate them if you want to know, but freedom is my first priority. Of course, if anyone from Konoha try to attack me, I won't stay idle either, he smirked at the thought. You said that you want to revive your clan, didn't you? Sasuke stared at him for a moment before nodding. Even if you succeed in killing your brother. How did you know it was my brother? He interrupted. From your data, of course, what else? Oh, if you're thinking about finding my data, forget it. My data is completely classified. Back to my advice, even if you succeed in killing your brother, what if he kills you at the same time? That will mean, bye-bye reviving your clan. Well, this is only an advice, whether you follow it or not is up to you. With that, Naruto went back to sleep. Sasuke sat on his futon. More questions running through his mind. He glanced at his teammate, wondering why his data was classified and what he meant by his trainer was inside his mind. He was also wondering if his thirst for revenge was making him weaker. It certainly drove him to become stronger, but at the same time, just like Naruto said, it made him think not clearly. Was he supposed to forget his revenge at least until he became stronger just like Naruto suggested? But it wasn't as easy as saying it. He had become completely immersed on his revenge ever since Itachi slaughtered his clan, that he couldn't think of anything else to do. Sasuke brought his hand to his throat. There was red mark on it, courtesy of Naruto. The blonde was strong, he admitted. He wasn't dead last like he first thought. Even if he was a bit, insane, he knew what he had to do with his life. Sasuke sighed. Perhaps, he would consider his advice. It wasn't like he would lose something if he did it. With that in mind, the survivor of the Uchiha clan slaughtering drifted into dreamless sleep. The next morning when Sasuke woke up, there was no trace of Naruto. Kakashi walked with Sasuke and Sakura toward the woods where their training would start. The copy nin started to teach them the meaning of tree walking and how to do it. As expected, Sakura learned it quickly because of her small chakra reserve. With his mind clearer and no thought of his revenge, Sasuke improved quickly. He had to admit that he would probably have to learn it longer if Naruto didn't tell his advice, though he would rather die before he admitted it to his teammate. Since Sakura had a good grasp on tree walking already, Kakashi added her training with taijutsu lesson to improve her reflex and strength. The girl for once didn't complain at all, knowing that she needed to be better or she would be a nuisance only. No longer did she want to rely on her teammates. They didn't care about her safety, so if she wanted to live, she had to it on her own. Her crush to her black-haired teammate has diminished bit by bit gradually after knowing that it was just a fantasy. Sasuke didn't like her and wouldn't care if she lived or not. She became more withdrawn and silent but more determined to become stronger. Her inner self cheered her up, telling her that she didn't need any man. The Junin instructor sighed at the now non-existent teamwork, if there was teamwork at all in the first place. They certainly became stronger, but Team 7 drifted apart. Each one strived to be stronger on their own, not caring the others. Kakashi instructed the pink-haired girl to do tree walking and throwing kunais or shurikens at the same time for hours every day. That way her chakra reserve would expand and her accuracy would improve. The Junin also taught what he knew about Sharingan to Sasuke in case he awoken his bloodline while the boy was doing tree walking. The rest of Team 7 was wondering what Naruto was doing on his own. In these 3 days, they only met him when dinner started. The boy's body was full of bruises and his clothes was dirty and he always brought fishes with him, but the morning later his bruises would be gone and he used different clothes that he must have bought from local shop, before he went on his way. Today, it was Sakura's turn to guard the bridge builder. They went shopping for their dinner. The old man brought her to a food store. Sakura noted that even in the grocery, food was scarce. There were only some variations and even then the number was limited. She was startled when she turned around to watch the road only to find Naruto was walking casually. Some kids were following him, but he ignored them. Naruto Nisama, will you do it again? A young girl exclaimed as she tugged his clothes. Sakura's heart went overdrive, thinking about what Naruto would do to the girl for that. Wait a second, did she said, Naruto Nisama. Her wide green eyes were trained on Naruto. Her heart skipped when the boy turned toward the children who followed him. Oh my gosh, don't tell me, he's gonna kill them. She screamed inwardly. The next scene made her jaw drop to the floor. Naruto, the cruel monster, was smiling. Smiling, not smirking. And to make the scene more unbelievable, it was a true smile, not an evil smile he reserved for people he was annoyed at. Sakura was wondering if someone put her on genjutsu. Kai. Nope. Naruto was still smiling as he patted the girl's head. Holy shit. I can't believe it. Is this the same Naruto who is insane? Either she was hallucinating, or this was real. Real. Yeah. Right. As if in trance she stepped forward to see Naruto and the children walked away. She was determined to follow them, completely forgetting about Tazuna, when someone tugged her skirt. She whipped her head and found another girl, even much younger than the one who followed Naruto, tugging her clothes. She didn't say anything as she put her palms out, asking for money. Sakura turned her head toward Naruto's direction, only to find him missing. Sighing, she sat on her knees and took out some candies from her bag and handed them out to the awaiting palms. The girl smiled happily before she thanked her and ran. Sakura-san, Tazuna asked, concerned with the young genin. Is everything okay? What? Oh, it's nothing really. Are you finished? The bridge builder showed her his grocery and nodded. They walked back toward his house. Sakura turned her head to the spot where she last saw Naruto before she followed her client. Tazuna-san, a fisherman called him out. Oh, Genji, what's up? Tazuna greeted his fellow wave citizen, but frowned when he saw the worried look plastered on his face. Is there something wrong with the bridge? Is it Gato? He asked worriedly. It's not that, the man scratched his head. There are 4 people asking for your house address. 3 of them were in the same age like young lady over there, he pointed at Sakura. They looked like ninjas, so I thought you should need to know. Anyo, were they wearing this? The punk-haired genin showed him her Hite 8. The man tapped his chin. Ah, yes, they did have those. Sakura smiled. It's alright, they're our aid that we requested from our village back home. Thank you for the information, she bowed. Tazuna and the only female in Team 7 returned to his house. Sakura opened the door and went to the kitchen where she heard people were talking. She found the team sent by Konoha was being served lunch by Tsunami. Her eyes were quickly drawn to 2 of the team, the adult and one of the teenagers. No, it wasn't because they were handsome, because the other male member was definitely more handsome than them and might be on par with Sasuke. The thing that drawn her to the other 2 was their caterpillar eyebrows. She took a step back in surprise. The heck? My, what a lovely day for youth today. The green beast from Konoha has arrived together with my youthful students, the adult exclaimed in lame pose when he noticed her enter. Guy sensei. The younger nin with the same lame haircut and spandex hugged his sensei. Lee. The others were sweat dropping. The brown kunoichi was sighing, suggesting to Sakura that it was common occurrence. Can't Konoha send me a not so strange team? Tazuna mumbled dejectedly. It was as if it wasn't enough to give him a team with an insane and murderous genin as a member, and now they gave him a team with 2 gays. Heaven, help him. Anyo, who are you? Of course, my lady. How rude of us no to introduce ourselves first. Guy's teeth was sparkling. Lee reappeared in front of Sakura, kneeling with hearts on his eyes as he clasped her hands. Sakura wondered what she should do. My beautiful goddess, I'm Rock Lee, sent here to save URK. Lee's face was slammed to the ground, hands still clasping Sakura's by Guy. Sakura's sweat dropped. Lee, don't be so rude. Your introduction is wrong. You lack the passion needed. This is how you should do it. The man kneeled like a prince in the fairy tale. My princess, Maida Guy, has come to your rescue. Your youthful beauty. An imaginary cold storm blew Sakura's hair as she stared at the 2 like they were insane. I think I prefer a murderous Naruto than these 2. She glanced at the other 2 and found them trying to hide their embarrassment at their teammates and Junin's behavior. The other female dragged Sakura away from the 2 and let her sat down. Sorry for them. Their minds aren't exactly working right, she apologized. Yes, I can see that, she said dryly as she stared at the 2 crying shinobis. Right. My name is Tenten, she offered her hand. Haruno Sakura. Nice to meet you, she shook her hand. My other teammate is Hyuga Neji. Neji turned his head, scoffing. Don't worry about him. He's just in his usual brooding mood, her black-haired teammate glared, but she ignored it. So, where are your teammates and Junin instructor? Sasuke and Kakashi-sensei are training in the woods, while I don't know where Uzumaki is, she told her. You don't know where your teammate is? She asked confusedly. We're not exactly close, behind her Tazuna snorted. Close. He told her that he would kill her. Neji's attention was caught. Kill her. That's just a joke, right? Neji also did it when we first met. Sakura bit her lips. Tazuna shook his head. No, it isn't. The boy won't hesitate to kill her, I tell you. He's practically a killer machine. You'll understand when you see him tonight. Ha! Tenten nodded dumbly. Meanwhile in Geitu's headquarters, Geitu smashed his glass angrily, wine dripping from the glass onto his expensive carpet, but he took no notice. Guards! He shouted. 2 guards came over. Hire other ninjas. That fool Zabuza is useless. The guards nodded and exited the dinner room hastily. Back to Tazuna's house. And they sent you for our aid. Kakashi's eyebrow twitched in annoyance. My eternal rival, Kaka. Yeah, whatever. He waved him off completely. He switched his eyes to Guy's younger twin incredulously. He had succeeded in corrupting this kid. Same haircut, same green spandex, same attitude. Guy, you're so foolish. Kakashi wanted to scream. Behind him Sasuke scowled. Tenten tapped Sakura. Her brown eyes were focused intently on Sasuke. Hey, is he Uzumaki? She asked, thinking that he must be Naruto since he brewed as much if not worse than Neji. He's cute, she squealed inside her mind. If Sasuke knew what she was thinking about, he would absolutely kill her for thinking that he, the heir of Uchiha clan, was cute. Sakura laughed out loud. No, he isn't. He's my other teammate, Uchiha Sasuke. You might think that with his angst that he must be Uzumaki, but I'll tell you, you got the wrong guy. Uzumaki's hair is blonde and his eyes are blue, his appearance is completely different than Sasuke. The first time you look at Uzumaki, you won't think him dangerous but only as annoying person, but he's more dangerous than Sasuke. You better be careful around him, he has worse mood swing than even a pregnant woman. One time, he could be playful, the next you could be dead, she warned. Surely, that isn't true, Sakura shook her head amusedly. Tell you what, just see him for yourself, but don't cry after he's finished with you. A flash of the afternoon event filled her mind. Naruto was smiling at the children. She shook her head. Anyway, he would be back soon. He's usually here when the dinner starts. Tenten and Sakura sweat dropped when they saw the 2 moody teenagers stared at each other's eyes. Kakashi was completely ignoring Guy as he read the new volume of Ika Ika Paradise, and Lee was trying to get his sensei's attention. Neji, you better stop staring at him or people will think about you in the, wrong way, Neji's brown-haired teammate advised as she could see the sparks flown from their eyes. The Hyuga branch member scowled as his gaze turned to his friend. And what do you mean by that? She's saying that people will think you're gay, Sakura piped in bluntly. Tenten nodded in agreement. Yes, that's what I meant. The death glares sent to her by both genins, because if she implied that Neji was gay, that meant she also implied that Sasuke was too, were ignored completely by the humming girl as she tried to see anything but their eyes. Neji's eyes turned toward the front door. The door was opened, revealing Naruto with his torn clothes. Naruto blinked when he saw a tear-soaked guy embracing the next green beast of Konoha. Ah, that inappropriate Junin! He exclaimed. Eyebrows were raised. What did you call Guy-sensei? Guys! Twin shouted angrily as he dashed toward the blonde. Fist clenching, he threw a punch, only to have Naruto caught his fist casually using his free hand, since his right hand was holding 4 fishes. Tenten, Neji, and Guy eyed Naruto carefully. Even if Lee couldn't use ninjutsu or genjutsu at all, his taijutsu although far from perfect was better than many shinobis. Catch! He threw the fishes to the frantic Sakura who hoped to catch the fishes. Naruto's blue eyes stared at Lee's black eyes. I said. Inappropriate Junin. Get a problem with that. He mocked. If you don't believe me, Naruto took a small scroll from his pouch using his free hand. He unrolled the scroll and bit his thumb, before smearing his blood on the scroll, all the while still holding Lee's punch. A poof later, an album was revealed. The blonde opened the pages and found what he was looking for. He thrust the book close to Lee's wide eyes. Lee's jaw dropped. He stared at the album open-mouthed. He was silent for once. Lee withdrew his fist and stared at his Junin-sensei with tears brimming on his eyes. Betrayal was portrayed behind his eyes. Guy-sensei, how could you do it? Huh. A confused Guy frowned. The others were wondering just what it was that made Lee, who idolized Guy to the point of obsession, looked so betrayed like that. They turned toward the smirking Naruto. Sakura stared at Naruto's smirk. That was it. She decided that she was imagining things. There was no way Uzumaki Naruto, the boy wonder who could kill you in seconds without remorse, was smiling. Naruto, may I see it? Kakashi couldn't help but asking him politely, knowing wrong sentence could very well end his life. Besides, he was curious and it was better to be on his good side. Naruto shrugged amusedly, as he took out something from the album and threw it to his father's pupil, who deftly caught it. It was a photo. The next second, Kakashi's eyes, though his Sharingan eye was covered by his Hite-8, were so wide that they were in danger of popping out of their sockets. His jaw would have dropped if not because of his mask still attached on his face. The next second Kakashi was chuckling and then laughing. What is it? Tenten asked curiously. Still chuckling, the silver-haired Junin handed the photo to Guy's female pupil. Wordlessly, Neji, Sakura, and even Sasuke couldn't keep their curiosity and stared at the photo from behind her shoulder. Simultaneous snickers were directed to the still confused Guy, holding his crying student, who was pounding his chest. The Genins laughed out loud, though Neji tried to shut his mouth from laughing since he was the ever-noble Hyuga member, so he settled on amused smirk, while Sasuke, whose ego was still as big as his head, wouldn't want to be caught laughing out loud and settled on odd chuckle. Tenten gave the photo to the curious Tsunami. A second later, she exploded. Guy-san, if you dare to do that in front of my son, I'll kick you so hard that you grandchildren will feel it, although I felt sorry for Lee-san to have a father like you. She screamed angrily, stomping her feet on the floor, not knowing that Lee was simply Guy's pupil and not his son like she thought, even if his face and almost everything else about him resembled Guy. Huh. Guy was still confused. Tazuna took the photo from his berserk daughter's hand. Oh. Tazuna grinned suggestively to the green spandex Junin. I don't know that you work part-timer as strip dancer, Guy-san. What? Kakashi's self-exclaimed rival shouted incredulously. The others except the furious Tsunami laughed harder. Inari peeked curiously from the door. Inari, get back to your room. The boy's mother shouted. Looking at his furious mother, Inari decided that a retreat was good. Guy snatched the photo from Tazuna's hand. What the hell? How did you get this photo? I thought I have burned all of them. Ibiki still has a collection of those, Naruto said, not saying that he actually didn't get it from Ibiki, because it was him who gave the photos to Ibiki, who paid generously for it. Then again, it was a truth, even if it wasn't a complete truth. How Guy implied it wasn't his problem. But the green beast of Konoha stuttered. How come I don't know any of it? Kakashi wondered, feeling a little sad and disappointed that he didn't know about it before this. If I'm not wrong, you were still in Anbu at the time, so it was no wonder if you arrived to Konoha after the news died out, Naruto told him, remembering about Kakashi's data. Damn, and no one tell me about it. The Junin cursed as he eyed Guy trying to soothe Tsunami to no avail. Naruto stepped on the river, without his shirt or jacket. He slowly walked to the center where he closed his eyes and relaxed his stance. He concentrated on the nature around him, as the wind caressed his face. There were children in the riverbank, open-mouthed, wondering what he would show them today. Slowly but surely the water around him rose and made a water shield that surrounded him. He did it for 5 minutes before he opened his eyes. The water shield dispersed, but it didn't drop back to the river, instead it coiled around his body like a snake. The water danced around him for a moment before it was separated into many parts. This time, instead of a big water snake, there were water threads around him. Naruto touched one of the threads. The water stiffened and the end formed something like a needle. The change followed by the other threads. Naruto moved. His kata was graceful. He moved like a fluid, just like the fox inside him instructed for years. The water around him followed his movements. It danced around his body, facing invisible targets. He hasn't perfected this move that he started to learn 3 years ago yet, but he planned to. Naruto jumped high to the sky. The water strings around him followed, separating themselves from the river. To the children below, he seemed to hover in the air for a moment before the water around him exploded into many smaller parts and hardened and showered the river with thousands of water spikes. The river splashed as it was assaulted. The children laughed when the rippling water splashed them. Naruto landed on the river surface with eyes closed. When he opened his eyes, he could see red liquid colored the river. 20 dead fishes floated to the surface. The children cheered loudly. Naruto grinned as he took the fishes and threw them to the children. Thanks, Naruto-Nisan, the blonde nodded. He walked to the bank and took his dry shirt and jacket. You are finished? One of them asked, looking disappointed. Yes, I have to meet with others in the woods. Perhaps later, kids. See you. He dashed. Wow, he's so cool. Yeah, and he's only some years older than us. I wish I am as strong as he, a 7-year-old boy said wistfully. His friends laughed. Impossible. We don't have talents like he does, his older sister by 1 year told him. Who cares about that? For now, party time. He showed them one of the fishes. The others agreed with him. In the woods, Kakashi-sensei, Uzumaki isn't here yet, Sakura told him. The Junin scratched his head. Huh, what do you mean he isn't here? He's there. Tenten pointed to the blonde boy in the tree confusedly. Were they blind or something? That's only a clone, the silver-haired Junin informed her. The real Naruto won't just stay silent. Observing us, Kakashi thought of how Naruto used to make traps around them or insulted the team members. Neji activated his Byakugan and frowned. Impossible. He has chakra paths on his body. There is no way a clone can have that, he argued. That's because it's not a normal clone. It's Kage Bunshin, shadow clone. Unlike normal Bunshin, it isn't an illusion but corporeal. It has the same power like the real caster and has chakra pathways, Sakura said. And it needs much chakra to maintain, she muttered under her breath. Wow, Naruto-san is so great. Lee shouted in awe to his teacher. Beside him, Guy nodded in agreement. It seemed that those two have reconciled, or perhaps Lee was just trying to forget Guy's indecent incident. There was also a possibility that he buried his memory about what Naruto said yesterday. All in all, Naruto didn't care about their weird relationship. Neji looked at one direction. What is it, Neji? His brown-haired teammate asked. There is another Naruto running toward us, fast, he said without turning around. No more than 5 seconds later, Naruto jumped to the ground 2 meters in front of Neji. Well, since our last member has arrived, let's start. Sakura, you fight Tenten. Sasuke, you with Neji. And Naruto with Lee. Lee jumped and shouted in joy. Naruto-kun, let's do our best. He gave him a thumbs up. Naruto only raised his eyebrow. Alright, anything goes. If your opponent gets knocked out, surrender, then you win. No killing. At this the former Anbu eyed Naruto, who gave him an amused smirk. Guy. He nodded to Guy. Guy stepped forward. The arena is surrounded by trees with red papers. No running outside the arena is allowed. We will observe your fight from afar. First fight will be the girls. Good luck. He flashed them his white teeth. Sakura entered the arena nervously. She darted a look toward the calm Tenten. The girls stood across each other, waiting for the signal. Begin. Both girls took their weapons from the pouch. Sakura charged with her kunai, while Tenten stayed on her spot. It was very easy that the match was a slaughter. Sakura didn't have many techniques except for simple bunshin, great chakra control or throwing kunai. The problem was Tenten was more experienced and she was a weapon master, Plus Sakura's chakra control wasn't exactly what you could say big. The pink-haired girl looked crestfallen and nearly in tears as she tended her wounds. Obviously she was very disappointed to be defeated so easily by another kunoichi. She knew that she wouldn't be able to defeat Tenten without luck on her part, but she didn't know that her ninja techniques were this bad. Tenten sighed at the appearance of the girl who was on the verge of crying. She knew what she was thinking about. After all, being a teammate of Neji the gloomy Hyuga was tough. She has never beaten him and felt useless the first time around, especially with his sharp and loose tongue. Her confidence was being assaulted. She walked and sat beside her. She started to talk. Neji and Sasuke stepped forward. Neither boy paid attention to their female teammate. Kakashi and Guy were wondering how the battle between two prominent clans, one of the clans, the Uchiha, was a bit indisposed, but oh well, would end. They knew that under normal circumstance it would be Neji who would win the match, but you couldn't say that because Ninja with a trick on his sleeve could turn up the odds. Naruto yawned, not really interested with what was going on. Nearby Lee was cheering for both of them. The two combatants appraised each other carefully. Begin. Sasuke threw kunais toward Neji, who still stood on his spot. The Hyuga activated his Byakugan and performed Kaden to deflect them. Sasuke's eyes narrowed seeing Neji's kind of defense. The whirlwind dissipated, revealing Neji. He's depending too much on his bloodline, and don't he feel dizzy after he rotated too much like that? Naruto watched the fight from the corner of his eyes, as he leaned on a tree. Kaden, Goukakyu no Jutsu. Sasuke breathed thousands of flame balls and directed them toward Neji, who jumped around to dodge them. Sasuke dashed behind Neji and threw his shurikens. Neji turned his body to see the upcoming weapons. He deflected most of them, but two shurikens managed to cut his sleeve and pierced his arm. Sasuke smirked, knowing that he was the first to draw blood from his opponent. Neji narrowed his eyes. He took the Jiyuken stance. You're within the range of my divination. Prepare yourselves. Neji appeared before Sasuke's widened eyes. He had closed 32 tenketsus when Sasuke opened his eyes to reveal Sharingan. The Hyuga branch member flipped backward in shock. Sasuke coughed blood. Some parts of his body where Neji struck felt burning. He was lucky that Neji was shocked to see his Sharingan and retreated before he closed all of his tenketsus. So you can activate your Sharingan, Neji stated to the now shocked Uchiha. He had activated his bloodline limit. Sasuke's right hand touched his eyes and put it down again. If he had Sharingan with him, he could turn up the odds even with his body wounded, and his ability to use chakra was severely limited. He had known that some of his body parts were now completely devoid of chakra. The chakra control training Kakashi had given his team made him sure to know that fact. To activate his bloodline in this duel match, this match wasn't a waste. Sakura almost jumped to cheer her former crush when she saw the red eyes, when she remembered that she had given up on him. Now it was kind of reflex to do that. Lee cheered on both genins, but they didn't seem to hear it. Kakashi and Guy watched the match in interest, especially Kakashi, who promised himself to teach his student how to use those Sharingan eyes of his. Naruto himself took out a small notebook in which he wrote his assessment of the battle before him. He focused his observation on the Hyuga taijutsu style and the Byakugan, knowing that he could solely study Sharingan in other times since Sasuke was on his team. Sasuke took out wires from his pouch, ignoring his aching body. He knew he couldn't use the wires to Naruto's level, in which the wires looked like they had their own will, but his own technique was still dangerous to his opponent. Naruto tapped his cheek with his pen before he wrote on the notebook on his hand. Neji used his eyes to see the almost invincible strings. The Uchiha knew what he did using the strings, that much he admitted, but being a teammate of a weapons specialist gave him experience on how to beat this technique. Reinforcing his hand with chakra, Neji cut the strings that were intended to bind his body. Give it up. You won't win. It's your fate to lose from me and my destiny to win this match. The Hyuga boy said this in his usual emotionless tone. Hyuga Neji is a stingy asshole who believed too much on fate. He probably had a bad experience to be another kind of cranky brooding guy, the other kind is Sasuke the brooding gloomy avenger. Then again, who cares? Certainly not me. Note to self. Usually this kind of guy is easily riled if you push the right button. Try to find it, and give him a prank or two to make him loosen up his lame fate speaking. It is as lame as his fuzzy eyebrow-ed teammates and his Junin instructor's youth speaking. Naruto finished his writing and then glanced at Sasuke who seemed ready to throttle the Hyuga with his bare hands. He flipped his notebook to the alphabet, U, and searched for Sasuke's name. Uchiha Sasuke is a competitive bastard and don't like to be defeated. Wonder what he really thinks of me since he had fallen to my traps numerous times. Note to self. With his bloodline activated, try to find a way to make his eyes completely unable to copy my jutsus. There is no way I'll let him copy them. If he wanted to learn it, he had to do it the hard way. Which is by begging and pleading, and of course a debt that I can use for anything. Not that I'll teach him. Beside, his ego was probably bigger than his brain, if he had any in the first place, that he won't dare to ask me, much less beg me from. Naruto cackled insanely. Behind him Sakura was crept out by his evil laugh. She waved her hand frantically to erase Naruto's angelic smiling image. Bad thought. That was right. She was hallucinating. Beside her, Tenten's sweat dropped at her unexplainable act against invisible bugs. The older girl wondered why all of the cute guys she found were insensitive jerk Neji, brooding avenger, Sasuke, quiet bugs lover, Shino, Tenten shivered at the bug's image, or insane, Naruto. Then again, you couldn't call Lee and her sensei as cute guys, but they still were insane and mentally unbalanced. The second match was ended quickly with Sasuke being knocked out by Neji, but only after Sasuke sent him an unexpected helluva of punch to his ribcage. The Hyuga boy put a hand on his ribcage as he walked to a tree. That suicide move, because Sasuke chose not to avoid one of Neji's strikes in order to give him a blow, was unexpected. Sasuke knew that his chance to win was slim to none, thought that he had to give the annoying bastard in front of him at least a punch that he wouldn't forget for long, to give him a message that he too wasn't omnipotent, especially not because he thought that some lady fate favored him. He hoped that at least he could make the match a draw. He didn't get his wish though, since Neji was still conscious although was winded by his accurate blow. As he blacked out, Sasuke cursed himself for not going after his balls instead of his ribcage. That way, if he succeeded landing a blow there, hopefully he would deter him from his irritating fate speaking. Because that meant that it was Neji's fate too to receive a blow to his manhood pride and perhaps lost his ability to reproduce. Wouldn't it be nice to rid the world from more future Hyuga brats? Kakashi removed Sasuke from the arena. He dumped him under a tree. Guy was doing a victory dance, shouting at Kakashi about the burning passion his team's members had to beat the silver-haired Junin students. Naruto, Lee, you two are next. Naruto tilted his head as he watched Lee made a joyous dance before the match. Let's make it quick. I have something else better to do, he said arrogantly. Yosh, Naruto-san, let's do our best. Whatever, the blonde sneered. Nearby Kakashi sweat dropped thinking about how much Naruto and Lee resembled him and Guy. The difference was that Naruto was truly annoyed while he merely ignored the green beast of Konoha. Begin. Just as he said that, Lee dashed toward Naruto. The blonde raised his eyebrow. He admitted that Lee was quick, but his fox partner, namely Kibi, was faster, and more vicious, though the fox couldn't use taijutsu for obvious reason, but definitely was still dangerous with its sharp fangs and claws. Now, should he fight Lee or play him around? Naruto smirked when he reached his decision. He parried Lee's punches and after a minute of parrying at last he caught one of Lee's hand. Guy's pupil quickly changed his tactic and kicked toward Naruto's face. The blonde bent his knees and lowered his body. Lee twisted his kicking legs so it went down. With body still twisting, Naruto caught Lee's leg with his free hand. Lee had to twist his body when Naruto twisted his legs so to avoid broken bones. Naruto let go of his other hand from Lee's palm and used both of his hands to throw Lee to the nearest tree. Lee's feet landed on the tree trunk and he jumped to the ground, crouching on 4 legs. He had a happy smile plastered on his face. "Wow, you're so great, Naruto-san," he shouted loudly. So naive, a malicious idea soon formed on his brain as he remembered what the data he gathered about Lee said. Strong in taijutsu, couldn't use genjutsu and ninjutsu because he couldn't use chakra, his apparent affection toward his teacher he saw as his role model, and other things. Naruto gave out a wicked grin that was noticed by a worried Kakashi. There was nothing good came out when Naruto grinned like that. While he'd like to duel in taijutsu only with Lee, he had a better, more malicious idea on his mind. He hoped that after he was done with him, Lee would change his annoying personality, and hopefully his green spandex, bowl-cut hair, and fussy eyebrow too. Naruto teleported out of Lee's front, effectively confusing the poor ninja. Since the arena was the wood circled by the red papers, he could easily find himself a place to hide from Lee to concoct his plan into reality. After all, why didn't use the arena when it was big? No sense of wasting it. His bug-henged shadow clone was assigned to keep watch on him, so he would always know Guy's pupil's location. Naruto took out a small scroll from his pack on his belt. He bit his thumb and smeared the blood on the scroll to summon the scroll's contents. The wound on his thumb was already healing. He glanced at the numerous flasks, tubes, and bottles there. All of them were his collection of poisons, potions, sprays, tablets, herbs, medicines, solutions and powders of various kinds. Most were made by himself, while the rest he bought via mail or he just plucked out of the forest. Naruto took a small blue box and took out one of the brown-colored tablet. He closed the box and put it back on the empty scroll. After he put the tablet on his pouch, Naruto did some hand seals and there was a popping sound. Smoke covered the scroll. When the smoke dissipated, the scroll was tied back and there was no sign of those bottles anymore. After crushing the tablet into powder, Naruto mixed it with a flask of fresh water. The tablet was actually a stimulant that could effectively affect a particular hormone. And from there the victim's brain would be affected indirectly. Since the result would heighten the victim's sense of fear, Naruto could just add a genjutsu in which Lee would project his own fear. It would be Lee himself who defeated himself. Closing the flask carefully so its content wouldn't spill, Naruto created 6 shadow clones. He gave the flask to one of the clones. Naruto performed the Kurigakure no Jutsu. The first time he created this jutsu 2 years ago, he didn't know that it wasn't a new jutsu. Only after Zabuza said the name of the jutsu when he created the mist from the water around him did Naruto realized it. They dashed toward Lee to incapacitate him. It was a quick work. First Naruto locked himself with a battle of taijutsu with Lee. It was admirable to see the boy still could respond his assault under such thick fog around them. Second, 5 of his clones attached themselves to Lee's hands, legs, and neck, effectively stopped his movement. Third, the real Naruto pushed Lee to the ground. The clone that attached itself on Lee's neck jumped and sat on Lee's chest. It was then the last Naruto clone opened the cap of the flask with his thumb and poured its content on the waiting mouth of Lee. Lee struggled and tried to close his mouth, but the clone was ready and opened Lee's mouth with its fingers. Lee drank the rest of the drink. The real Naruto put genjutsu by making hand seals and put 2 fingers on Lee's forehead afterwards. After his job was done, he dismissed all clones. The blonde boy stood in front of Lee's body. The bowl haircut boy was moaning and even sobbing while he muttered his sensei's name. Naruto stopped his Kurigakure no Jutsu and the mist dissipated. All eyes were pointed toward the sobbing Lee. His team members couldn't believe it. Lee was crying. That was something that was unexpected. Winner, Naruto, Kakashi muttered. The Junin headed toward Naruto sternly. What did you do to him? Nothing. Just a simple genjutsu that affected his brain. You did say that we could use anything, didn't you? Naruto smiled cheekily. Don't worry, he won't break down anymore in 10 minutes. What kind of false image you put on him? Naruto shrugged. Who knows? The only one who knows about it is Lee himself. My genjutsu made his own brain displayed his worst fear. There was no use to tell him about the stimulant tablet. He'd like to keep the secret about it himself. Since the training is over, I'll be on my own way. See you. The rest of Konoha ninjas were circling Lee, wondering what they should do to the now incapacitated genin. Kakashi was hard-pressed calming Guy from having nervous breakdown. Naruto has taken 10 steps from his spot when Neji came at him, face frowning. What was the drink you make Lee swallow? To amateur, it would sound like neutral tone, but Naruto was no amateur and he quickly noted a sign of hostility on his voice. Naruto smirked. Wouldn't you like to now? He raised an amused eyebrow. Inwardly Naruto reminded himself to put this Byakugan ability to see through mist to his notebook later. See you later. If Lee isn't able to be a ninja after this, he warned. You'll do what? Naruto challenged. It seemed that he needed to reevaluate and change Neji's manners he had wrote on his book. The guy was unexpectedly loyal, if you could say that, to his teammate. You'll close my tenketsu and torture me. Don't look so surprised like that, Hyuga. It wasn't as if it was a secret. The fact was that there was a detailed restricted archive about Hyuga taijutsu style and some of Byakugan's ability, like seeing humans tenketsu. Naruto simply retrieved the data by transforming himself into the archive caretaker. He wanted to laugh at the lacks of security placed on Hokage's tower. And they called themselves one of the 5 most powerful hidden villages. It was a wonder that Konoha still lasts to this day. It won't work on me, you know. I'm perfectly in control of my chakra. In fact, you can say that my ability is the counter of your Jiyuken style. And about that drink, let's call it pest repellent, shall we? I bet that after this, your friend over there, he tilted his head toward Lee, will avoid me after this and won't reveal himself around me for a long time. If he doesn't, let's just say that there must be something wrong with the working system of his brain. Neji almost said something when he heard his teacher called his name. This isn't over yet. Neji growled and turned around, gritting his teeth. You're welcome, Hyuga. Anytime. Naruto grinned widely, as he watched the pupilless-eyed boys retreating back. From the corner of his blue eyes, Naruto saw a short shadow behind a tree observing the matches earlier. It was Inari and right now he was gaping at the spot where Naruto had rendered Lee catatonic. The young boy looked at him in awe before he stared back at Lee in confused disbelief. Wow! He heard Inari mutter the word, staring at him as if he was to be his new hero. Naruto smiled. Perhaps this kid could be saved after all. Inside him, Kyuubi was snorting at the thought of Naruto saving the kid. More like corrupting him, the fox muttered amusedly. Now, Naruto chastised his tenant. I'm certainly not corrupting him. Call it my gentleman charm, he said innocently. The kids are attracted to me like moth to flame. Never mind the fact that said animal would be burned when it touched the burning flame. The fox barked out a laugh from behind his bar, obviously amused, knowing that his host was anything but innocent. And of course Sandame could give him proofs that he was no gentleman. Then again, gentlemen of old days fought between themselves using manipulation and brain instead of their brawn. Brawn was good and all, but it was always red, mostly the brain that decided the winner. And unfortunately for everyone who was Naruto's enemy, the blonde boy wasn't only backed by his brawn, but he also had the needed brain as well. Not a good combination to have in Naruto form, especially when said boy was such a mischievous troublemaker that generally always attracted chaos everywhere he went to. Kyuubi sighed in relief, knowing that his trickster legacy was inherited by his host. Or was it perhaps merely enhancing the already devious mind the kid had on his birth? He didn't know the answer, but he didn't care. It was nice to see that his vessel, the son of Yondaime who had sealed him inside the blonde baby, wreaked havoc on the world. His reputation still needed to be upheld after all. Take that, you goddamn asshole. Do you see that? Your son is mine. Hope you have fun watching your son and me over here. Kyuubi roared in satisfaction before he went back to plot his next course of action, thinking of the right ingredients to make a new potion for the next glorious prank. Target. Kyuubi tapped his paw on the floor, musing. Now that needed some more thoughts. Whoever their next target would be, it was obvious that the result wouldn't be pretty for the victim. But hey, why should a demon lord like him care? As long as the victim provide him amusement, he had nothing to complain about. Naruto tapped his foot impatiently, waiting for Inari to come with the wave map the kid promised him just minutes ago. Inari has come to him an hour ago telling him that he'd like to help him with anything. So Naruto told him to give him information about Getu. The kid told him everything he knew about the criminal lord, from his dirty businesses in Wave to the location of his base here in Wave. The blonde-haired boy perked up when he heard it. He told Inari to bring him a map of Wave, so he could tell him the exact location. There was loud sound of footsteps outside Naruto's room, followed by the door being slammed open by none other than grinning Inari with a roll of map on his arm. Naruto-Nisan, here's the map. The boy yelled, shoving the map to Naruto's nose. No need to get that excited, brat. Naruto took the offered map and rolled it open. So, where's the location? Inari got behind Naruto and pointed to a spot in the map. It was a small island located between Wave and Water Country. No wonder Getu set up his base there. The island's location was strategic. There, he could control the movement of goods come and go from Wave to Water and vice versa. Not to mention, the Wave had to sail to reach Getu's base if they intended to rebel. Problem was, Getu's men would notice them right away and they would have time to prepare. An island, now that would be a problem. He didn't think there would be any fishermen brave enough to bring him there. How far is that island from here? Inari looked up. 50 kilometers, I think. If you want to get there, you can sneak in one of Getu's ships there. There are 2 trips from here to that island and vice versa every day, Inari said as if he knew exactly what Naruto was thinking. You know which are Getu's ships? Naruto asked. The kid nodded eagerly. Alright, can you take me there tonight? You will sneak in tonight? Inari asked, surprised. No, I just want to know the ship first. I'll probably do that tomorrow or 2 days after now. There is no use sneaking in if you get into the wrong ship. Oh, I don't think you'll get the wrong ship. It is easy to notice which ones are Getu's, Inari muttered bitterly. They're much bigger and grander. Don't worry, when this is over, your people will own that kind of ships, Naruto assured him. Inari brightened and grinned happily. Come on, I'll show you. The kid was already on the door and dashed outside. Naruto patted his belly as he smiled victoriously. So easy to please, isn't it? Inside him, his tenant was shaking his head in amusement. In the pier, you see that big ship over there? Naruto nodded. He could tell exactly which one was Getu's ship. It looked like a giant compared to the much smaller ships around it. The 2 boys were hiding behind a wooden box 30 meters from the ship. There they could see Getu's men activities. Naruto noted every man's face there. He looked down toward Inari when he heard him growl. Naruto arched an eyebrow when he followed Inari's gaze. He was glaring at a tall, skinny, brown-haired man chatting with his comrades. You know him? It was a statement, not a question. Inari looked up startled, totally forgetting about Naruto's presence. The boy simply nodded before he stayed silent for a moment. He's Kaji, one of our people, the kid started. He's known as a bully among us. I heard he joined Getu a week ago. Ah, no wonder he felt so betrayed. Even if the man is a bully, he's still one of Wave's citizens, Naruto thought. Naruto narrowed his eyes at the sight of the man. A bully, Getu's new man, perfect. An evil smile reached his lips as an idea formed on his brain. Inari, go home, I still have something to do here. At the worried look plastered on the kid's face, Naruto continued, don't worry, I'm not doing anything remotely dangerous. I know my limit. Naruto grinned inwardly. He knew his limit, alright. He could easily kill every man in the harbor. But, go. I'll be alright. Oh, And don't tell the others about it, Naruto looked pointedly. But, go. You can tell them about it only if I don't come back until late midnight. Okay. Inari was hesitant and bit his lips. The kid nodded reluctantly before he ran away from the pier. His small form was swallowed by the darkness of night. Naruto continued to watch the man and his group for another half an hour before the man split up with the others. Naruto followed Kaji, who headed toward the town. The Kyuubi's vessel hit his neck, making the man drop to the ground unconscious. Naruto took the ankle of the unconscious man's leg and dragged him toward an abandoned wharf. He intentionally chose a bumpy road littered with rocks. No sense of making the man comfortable. Naruto deposited the man roughly to the floor, throwing him to a pile of broken wooden boxes. The man shook his head painfully. He was awakened from the rough landing and the splinters of wood pierced his body. He looked around him in confusion, before his gazes landed on Naruto's form. Who the are you? How dare you? Naruto reappeared in front of Kaji. His nose almost touched the man's, whose eyes were so wide there was danger they would fall off their sockets. Naruto jabbed a finger roughly on his throat. Kaji choked, but there was no sound coming out of his lips. Nice, isn't it? You won't be able to talk, or scream, whatever you prefer, Naruto smirked wickedly. Kaji's eyes widened with terror. I believe an introduction is needed here. No. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, a genin, from the leaf. Naruto grimaced when he said that. Kaji's jaw dropped in horror. Why? So you already know about us, after all. Now it will be easier then. The brown-haired man's hand reached toward a sharp wood splinter on the floor. The man grabbed it and charged Naruto with it. Naruto simply stepped aside and tripped his foot. The man's face landed on the floor. Well, ouch, Naruto said, not feeling even a bit compassion. The blonde tied his hands with a string on his pouch. Now, Inari told me you're being a bad boy, Kaji. Now, that's not nice. Naruto stepped forward. His hand raised Kaji's chin so the man's black eyes met with his own blue eyes. So, what's the punishment for such a bad boy like you? Kaji, in a moment of bravery or stupidity, whichever you prefer, spat on Naruto's face and mouthed, "Go to hell, you son of a bitch." Because his voice still disappeared. Needless to say, Naruto wasn't pleased. He touched his cheek where the liquid touched his face. His eyes narrowed harshly. Naruto tightened his grip on the man's chin and broke it. Kaji cried out in pain, though no sound escaped his lips. Blood dripped from his mouth to Naruto's palm. You're no fun. I think I'll make it fast for my own sanity. Kyuubi snorted inside his cage. Naruto created a shadow clone and bit his thumb. He smeared the blood on his clone's forehead. The blood was made into a kanji writing of strength. 2 seconds after the blood was administered, it disappeared without trace. Do it, Naruto told his clone. The clone nodded and its hands reached the writhing Kaji's head. Kaji was writhing on the floor when the next moment he felt someone touched his forehead and he felt like everything was on fire. He felt like his brain was fried and thousands of needles pierced it. He felt like his brain went mush. When the clone took his hands off Naruto's prisoner's head, the man dropped to the floor unceremoniously. Saliva dripped from his mouth and eyes saw nothing. The clone's job was finished. It has absorbed the man's data about his way of talking, how he reacted if he faced something, etc. The jutsu it did wasn't absorbing the man's memory, but more like the man's personality. After a henge, the clone would be ready to infiltrate Getu's base. Since the man was new, there was only small chance of being discovered by Getu's man. Foolish human, Naruto summoned his pet fox, Kibi, the two-tailed fox. Kibi, your meal. Don't leave any trace of his body. With that, Naruto left his clone and the happy fox with Getu's man, who would soon being devoured alive. With voice box still sealed and hands tied, the man wouldn't be able to scream or do anything. Naruto wiped his cheek clean and went back to Tazuna's house. A few minutes earlier, Kakashi frowned. Inari was acting strange. The young boy appeared to be really nervous and his eyes always darted toward the front door as if he was waiting for someone to enter. Sighing, the silver-haired Junin's eyes reverted to Guy's prized pupil who was busily exclaiming his love toward a grimacing Sakura. The kid was gloomed for an hour after the genjutsu Naruto administered on him stopped, but already back on his feet and being his usual energetic and insensitive genin again after that. Kakashi shouldn't feel worry about him, but the Junin could see there was an edge carefully hidden behind Lee's gaze. Like he was subjected to hell and torture and lived through it. It was the same glint every Anbu had after their first assassination mission or after being captured and tortured for information and still lived to tell the tale. Kakashi sighed again. Ika Paradise laid forgotten on his hand. He didn't have the confidence of teaching his sensei's only son the meaning of teamwork or compassion. The boy was too cruel and he already had his own mindset. A mindset that was built after being subjected to the hates directed toward him and the assassination attempts. He couldn't blame the kid to be that cruel. The Konoha citizens had a hand on creating the monster lived inside Naruto's mind. It was a wonder that the boy hasn't snapped yet and kill everyone. It clearly gave him indication that Naruto had a strong will. But even a strong will wouldn't be able to handle the strain of being hated as a scapegoat. There was a limit for everything. Kakashi could only hope that Naruto wouldn't betray Konoha like Jiraiya's ex-comrade, Orochimaru. If it happened, there would be no hope for Konoha to survive. The fourth Hokage's pupil turned to the door when it was opened by none other than Naruto. Kakashi noted that Inari looked relieved when he saw his student. The Junin looked at Naruto closely. He noticed there was a dark substance covered the nails of Naruto's right hand's fingers. It was blood. Kakashi narrowed his eyes and glanced at Naruto's face. But said Genin's gaze wasn't directed toward him but to the bouncing Lee behind him. Kakashi prayed for Lee, hoping that the blonde wouldn't slaughter him right here and then. The other Genins and Guy noticed Naruto's presence and stopped talking or doing anything. They stared at Naruto who stared at Lee who was talking to Sakura still hadn't noticed Naruto. The tension was so thick in the room that Chizuna gulped on his seat. When Lee actually noticed Naruto's presence, his voice escaped him. Lee gulped. Yo, Naruto-san. How are you doing? The fuzzy-eyebrowed Genin tried to sound cheerful, but it came out more like a strangled cat's voice. Naruto scoffed and ignored him as he headed to his designated room. Lee froze when Naruto passed him. Kakashi breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that there would be no Lee slaughter tonight. The others carefully avoid the blonde. The next morning when Sasuke has just awakened, he noticed that Naruto was already got up and left the room. His blanket was neatly placed on his empty futon. Sasuke was a bit worried when he found the exact situation with Lee's futon. He wondered if Naruto and Lee fought again. He tried to dismiss it, telling himself that it wasn't his business, but found out that he couldn't. With a sigh he woke Neji up. The Hyuga boy told him sleepily to search for Guy. If the Junin was already up like Lee that meant the weird Genin was with him, practicing like usual. If not, well, worried of his teammate Neji pushed himself to wake up and searched for his Junin sensei. The two were relieved when they saw only sleeping Kakashi in the room with Guy was nowhere to find. That meant Lee wasn't fighting Naruto. After knowing that Neji went back to sleep while Sasuke took his weapons and headed to the woods to train. The dark-haired boy was surprised however when he found a wide-awake Kakashi leaned on the front door. Let's go. Sasuke followed the older nin, wondering what the Junin would teach him. When Sasuke was busy training, Naruto was busy picking up herbs in the woods. He found out 2 days ago from the children he played with that this section of forest was filled with herbs and poison plants. Some of them weren't available in Konoha's forest, so Naruto decided to pick them up and if he could, plant some of them on his apartment. He would need them to make new medicine or poison. His foxes surrounded him. Some helped him to pick up a certain kind of plant while others played around the herb field. Naruto frowned when he saw the foxes looked up and sniffed the air. Their ears stood up and they looked pointedly at one direction. Focusing, He noticed a muffled signature of chakra nearby. Whoever this person was, he or she didn't want him to know his presence. He admitted that this person was good at hiding. If there was no fox around him at the moment, he wouldn't be able to feel him up without concentrating. A feminine boy came out from the woods, walking toward the herbs field. Naruto raised an eyebrow. What was a boy like him doing with a woman's clothing? Did he like to cross-dressing? One of the foxes, a medium-sized red fox, growled. It recognized this person's scent. It yipped to Naruto, telling him that the person before them was the swordsman's subordinate who posed as a mist hunter nin days ago. Now Naruto's eyebrow reached his hairline. He looked at the older boy's clothing and then thinking about Zabuza. He didn't know that Zabuza was into that kind of thing. Did the person in front of him cross-dressing for Zabuza? The young man seemed so dedicated to Zabuza. Perhaps Zabuza wasn't gay but his subordinate trying to catch his attention by wearing woman's clothing. Kyuubi rolled his eyes. Trust Naruto to think about that kind of thing when an enemy appeared before him. Hello, the guy smiled. What are you doing? Naruto looked at him for a moment before he decided to see what he was up to. He shooed the foxes away. If the boy in front of him thought it was strange, he didn't say anything. Picking some plants. You. Me too. Silence. The older boy fidgeted on his spot at the uncomfortable silence. Say, are you a ninja? He asked, trying to make a conversation. I mean, you have, you look so fit compared to others around here. Not everyone who has a fit body is a ninja, Naruto told him. Man, what a lame reason he was trying to say. I bet that he wanted to say that I have a Hite 8 when he noticed I don't have any with me. Yes, he spluttered. But you're a ninja, right? Naruto nodded. I thought that a ninja always wear their forehead protector. He trailed off, but obviously there was a question hanging there. I don't want to wear it, so I left it in my house. Why do you ask? Nothing. I'm just curious, the guy smiled, trying to charm him. He looked a bit troubled that Naruto didn't react to him. Obviously the guy thought that he would fall to his woman's charm. Why did you become a ninja? Do you want to protect your precious person? He asked while he uprooted a plant. A herb that was used to make a strength drink, Naruto noted. It must be for Zabuza who was wounded in their fight days ago. Naruto snorted. I don't have any precious person. What about your parents? Aren't they your precious persons? The guy sounded troubled at the answer. My parents? They died when I was just born. Oh, I'm sorry, he looked sympathetic. My parents died too when I was just a kid. I was found by my precious person months later. He seemed to go down in his memory lane. I'd like to think that I became stronger by having my precious person. Naruto grunted. Yeah, right. And the pigs fly. By caring someone you become weaker, not stronger. You become too concerned to that person, making you can't focus on other things. But I digress, that's your problem. Zabuza's subordinate didn't know what to say as he stared at Naruto. What's your name? My name is Haku. No surname. Haku shook his head. No, I don't remember it anymore. Uzumaki Naruto, your soon-to-be executioner. Haku's eyes widened, but before he could move, a string wrapped on his neck tightly. Don't move, or I'll separate your head from your body. Haku stiffened. So, how's Zabuza? Has he fixed and finished his sword? Haku stayed silent. Don't want to give information to your enemy, huh? The blonde genin tightened his string hold, causing Haku's neck to bleed. Go to hell. You know, last night the guy who said the same thing to me died eaten by my lovely pet, alive. So if you don't want to die horribly, tell me. It isn't like you'll lose something in the process. I'll even let you go. I'm in a pretty good mood today. Don't ruin it. I'll never betray Zabuza-san. Kill me. I won't tell you. Your loyalty is admirable. Too bad you chose him as your master. Haku-san. Naruto closed his eyes and caught a poisoned senbon heading to him a mere centimeters from his face. Green liquid coated the senbon. Naruto sniffed the small weapon and laughed. Paralyzing poison. Even when your life is at risk, you only use a paralyzing poison. You wound me, Haku-san. Naruto's opponent watched wide-eyed as Naruto licked the poison in the senbon. What the hell? The Kyuubi vessel grinned. Haku sweated. He was in danger. The genin was strong, immune to most poison, and to make it worse he was bloodthirsty and crazy. A swift move from the genin and he'd die. To think that a mere genin defeated him so easily. He underestimated him. Then again he was the guy who defeated Zabuza-san single-handedly without breaking a sweat. Concentrating on his Kekkei Genkai, Haku formed an ice to freeze the string from the water around him. He hit the frozen string with his senbon, effectively destroying it. Naruto raised his eyebrow. He had a bloodline limit. Naruto watched curiously as Haku formed an ice mirror and stepped inside. After his form disappeared from the mirror, it dissolved into water and dropped to the soil. Well, now this makes this hunt more interesting, Naruto grinned. The hunt would be more enjoyable when the prey could fight back and had nice tricks on its sleeve. Naruto's clone, who was currently disguised itself as Kaji, a wave citizen who betrayed his country by joining Gedo, slipped into the kitchen quietly. The clone took out a bottle of yellowish liquid and poured it into a bowl of chicken soup that would be served for Gedo later in the dinner. Kaji stirred the soup for a moment before the man exited the room. The next day, he heard that the chef was executed under Gedo's order. Apparently the crime lord was having bad digestion after consuming the soup and had to stay on the toilet for 5 hours straight. Needless to say, Gedo wasn't pleased. The man still had trouble walking and was as pale as ghost right now, a result of having to empty his stomach. Naruto's clone removed a notebook from its clothes and opened it, before crossing Hakuji Jiro, name from the list. Hakuji Jiro was the name of the chef executed. The clone didn't like it when the gay man tried to hit on it and thus born its plan to frame him. Not to mention screwing with Gedo was really fun. The clone licked the corner of its lips and stared at the next two names below Hakuji Jiro. Now, what should it do with them? They were more annoying than the chef, and the clone would like to get rid of them. Should it stole Gedo's money and put the money on those people, room? Or perhaps it would need to henge itself to their appearances and prank Gedo. Decision. The end. Pretty short omake, but at least there is an omake, right? Chapter 15. When the morning came, Naruto headed to the harbor before the others even awakened. According to the schedule, Gedo's ship would arrive on the Wave main island to drop drugs and prostitute women and would go back 2 hours later to resupply his base with food and other daily needs. The blonde-haired genin put a henge on himself and waited for Kaji to meet him. 10 minutes after the ship docked on the pier, his clone walked toward him. The two headed to a secluded area where the clone reverted back to Naruto's form. Without saying anything, the clone stepped into Naruto. Naruto closed his eyes as he received the memory of the past 2 days from his clone. Now he knew everything his clone experienced. A smile reached his lips when he noticed from his clone's memory that Gedo had hired 5 more missing nins, 1 A-rank stone nin, and 4 B-rank nins, 2 of them from the mist while the rest were from Grass Village. It seemed that the criminal lord no longer trusted Zabuza to dispose the leaf nins. Oh well, more praise for him to hunt. It would be fun. Naruto grinned when he recalled a memory of his clone wreaking havoc inside Gedo's rank by its pranks. Deciding to start his plan, Naruto henged into Kaji's form and checked his arsenal. Happy that he didn't forget anything, Naruto walked to the ship only to be reminded that he still had 2 hours until the ship departed to Gedo's base. Sighing, he reverted back to his form and sat on one of the wooden boxes laid around on the floor in the abandoned warehouse. Rolling open a jutsu scroll he brought with him and telling Kyuubi to tell him when 2 hours was over, Naruto waited. It was true that he could wait for long, even days, but that didn't mean that he liked it. He preferred to do things quicker. Patience wasn't exactly his forte, but he could be patient if the need arose. And now was the time to wait. Naruto grumbled under his breath. 2 hours later, Naruto was safely tucked inside the ship. As a newbie, he was forced to clean the deck and do other things designated for low-rank sailor. Biting his lips and clenching his knuckles to avoid killing the sailors here and then, Naruto finished his job quietly. Think of it as a new experience, kid. Take a deep breath. If you kill them now, your plan will be ruined. Kyuubi reminded his host. I know. No need to tell me. Furball, the boy growled angrily. Hey, newbie, clean my cabin. It's dirty. A sailor shouted. Behind his friends laughed. Naruto's jaw clenched. Just a person, pretty please, he pleaded to his tenant. Suit yourself. The fox yawned. But don't come back later regretting it. Naruto grinned inwardly. I won't. 30 minutes later there was a splashing sound, like something heavy was plunged into the ocean. The sound was muffled by the engine's sound, so no one but a grinning Kaji knew about the accident. 10 minutes later Naruto snapped the neck of another sailor's neck that offended him and threw the body to the ocean after he made sure no one saw him carrying the body. With this rate, before we arrive to the humans' island, you'll kill all of them already, the demon rolled his red eyes. And your point is? Never mind, Kyuubi waved his paw. The ship sailed for another hour before Naruto could see the outline of the island which was used by Geto. According to his clone's memory, there was a harbor on the west side of the island. There were usually more than 2 cargo ships docked there. The sentry in the island itself wasn't really that great. Geto relied heavily on his navy for the security. Not even his base, which was located in the woods, had many securities. His people were usually sorting through the goods instead of patrolling. It showed Naruto that Geto believed that no one would be able to enter the island. What a laugh. Even a genin, at least with a competent skill of Henjutsu, could sneak in his place. Which was exactly his rank. Naruto blinked when the ship he was in passed another's Geto's ship. It was another ship and it headed toward Wave's direction. And the ship was a cargo ship, not a smaller and more agile patrolling ship. Strange, there wasn't supposed to be another trip to Wave on this hour. Naruto shrugged and went back, watching the closing island. When it docked, all of the crews were busy bringing down the crates in the cargo ship. Not wanting to be suspected, Naruto lifted a crate on his shoulder and followed the others. They placed the crates on wagons and went back to the ship to pick up other crates. When all of the boxes were put into the wagons, the horses were led into the woods, where the base was built. Naruto was giddy inside, wanting to fight them all. He wouldn't give the other leaf nins the pleasure of fighting them. Their blood was his and his alone. Are you getting territorial now? The fox demon asked amusedly. Shut up. Hey. So, do you think you can handle your first kills? The demon asked him from behind the bars. Of course I am. Who do you think I am? A wimp. And I have killed people before, the genin scowled. Yes, but not by your own hands. The worst you have ever done to people was playing with their mentality and perhaps torture them, though sometimes I think some of them prefer to be killed rather than being tortured. The fox added the last sentence, remembering a certain prisoner under Ibiki's watch that was dying because of Naruto's new collection. Just wait and see. You won't be disappointed by my performance. That much I can assure you. Very well. I'll wait and see, and if I deemed your performance worthy, I'll teach you another jutsu. But if you fail, you have to spend your time to redecorate my cage. It's getting pretty boring lately. You're on. Naruto took the bet, eager to learn a new jutsu. Naruto slipped out unnoticed by others when the workers moved the crates to the storeroom. He threw a glass tube to the workers and quickly closed the room with a smirk. There was a loud bang coming from the storeroom. What the hell? There were coughs and shouts from inside before it went silent after 5 minutes. Exploding sleeping potion, always come in handy. He locked the room. They would sleep for 2 days straight. Never forget to bring this thing, he added, before he left to find other groups. Naruto didn't think they were worth his time to kill them, but he needed to take care of them first if he didn't want others to interfere with his battle against the missing nins. He sure as hell wanted his first kills to be some good shinobis, not mere thugs without power whatsoever. It had something to do with his ego. 20 minutes later, Getu's base was cleaned of all of its inhabitants with the exception of Getu's personal guard and the crime lord himself. Naruto wondered where the hell the missing nins were. He had dispatched his clones, but didn't find them inside the base. He frowned and doubled the number of his clones to expand the area of searching, including the rest of the island. He still had Getu to take care of. Getu and his 4 bodyguards were walking down the corridor. The crime lord was thinking of a new idea for the next business investment he could do. He heard a muffled sound from behind him and whipped his head. His 4 guards looked at him confusedly before they too turned around, but they didn't see anything. Getu frowned and resumed his walking. His guards followed him like a puppy. "Has my lunch been prepared?" he asked them. No sir. You remember that you've just executed the chef, right?" One of his guards, the shortest one with black hair, told him. "Of course I am, you fool. I won't forget the face of people dared to hurt me. What I want to know, why there is no replacement of the chef yet." Getu shouted angrily. His guard backed away. "I have heard that one of your pirates is a good cook. If you want I can ask him right away to serve you." Getu-sama, another guard, this time a tall blonde, tried to pacify his anger. The short man nodded. "Fine. Send him to cook my lunch." The guard hurriedly searched for the replacement. He wouldn't be able to reach the harbor though, as one of Naruto's clone outside the base caught him. Getu walked to his throne room, a spacious office full with expensive items and shelves full of his winning trophies against his enemies and rivals. There were a skull of another ringleader he had killed 20 or so years ago, and his latest addition was a pair of arms he obtained from a fisherman in the wave who dared to defy him openly. But the item he found to be the most beautiful was his chair. It was a big, comfy chair decorated with various gems. The chair was his throne, where he sat watching his crime Amopri expanded. And there was someone dared to sit on it. "How dare you sit on my throne?" He bellowed and walked toward the chair to see that the person who sat on his throne was in fact a blonde boy not even 15 years old wearing a cocky smirk. "Your throne." Naruto chuckled amusedly and rubbed the armchair to make him angrier. It worked and the man was as red as a boiled crab. "Guards, seize him. I want him alive for interrogation." 2 of his 3 guard ran to capture him while the last one, a brown-haired man with bandana covering his forehead, stood by Getu's side to make sure nothing happened to his hirer. 1 second the guards were charging him with their katanas, the next they were sprawled on the floor writhing, their swords dropped to the floor and their arms were broken and twisted. Getu took a step back before he dashed to a nearby shelf and pushed a hidden button on it. The alarm was blaring loudly. Getu smiled maliciously. "You might be able to win against them, child, but you won't be able to fight my armies," he shouted. Naruto only looked at him boredly. One hand resting on the armchair supported his head. There were loud footsteps indicating people were running toward the room and Getu's grin became wider. The door was slammed open and people entered the office. "Catch him," he ordered without looking at his army. Silent. Getu frowned. "I said, catch him." He pointed his finger at Naruto. But they still didn't make any move.